everybody, I got Jackie Dube here this time, and we're glad to have her on here. She is an AQHA World Champion, a Josie Junior World Champion. She's also a multi-futurity and derby champion. She's been the NFR 2 years, won several goes in the NFR. We've seen her very awesome attire at the NFR. She's also nicknamed the Wild Child, and we'll get into that why that's later, so I learned a little bit of information. We're very glad to have her on here. She's going to work with us today on hand positioning, and she's also going to talk about bonding with her horse. She thinks that's very important. And there's one question, Jackie, that you always ask your clinic people or anyone else that you're trying to help. What is that? Because it's very important to her, and it kind of has the framework of all you're wanting to do here.
I always start when someone's having a problem, or you know, they come for a lesson, or even if you're not having a problem. I always ask, when you go in the arena and you go in to run, what is your plan? What is your job as the rider? And I mean, I feel that's really important. When I run down the alley, I know what my plan is, and I know what my job is to make my horse do what she's supposed to do. And your job as a rider is to prepare your horse for the turn, period. It's not to make them turn, it's not to go fast, it's not to anything. When I run down the alley and I am gonna make a run, I think about getting my horse prepared for the turn so that I can make a fast, smooth turn, and then everything else in between falls into place. But, you know, I mean, I get the answer of, I'm just riding my horse for every step. Well, that's great, except then you think about riding and pushing and you forget the turn. Or I'm going to look at my spot and I'm going to ride to it, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to check and I'm going to pull, and everything I do is extremely simple, and it's the same every time. I heard my sister say there's a magnet on top of the alley, it sucks your brain out. I believe that. It is really hard when you go fast doing anything to be able to think the thought process through. So I, by repetition, and riding the same on every horse, train my body and muscle memory to do what I want it to do. And
you've trained several different horses, and she, you know, you just acquired Princess 2 years ago, and she has rodeoed and won quite a bit of money, even in limited hauling. So we're looking forward to seeing Miss Princess at the NFR someday. Of course, we have a couple of blonde bombshells here
mine
with
for
us.
Sure thinks she is.
Oh, well, that's okay. Her name is Princess.
That's
why.
It is.
And you also, you know, we talked about you being nicknamed the Wild Child. So let's clear that nickname, because I was even wrong in what I thought it was nicknamed. So tell everybody out there, all of our viewers, why you're nicknamed the Wild Child.
The Wild Child came from the first time I made the NFR. Rooster didn't like that building particularly, and he was pretty short inside, and so I reached down and set the barrels up as they were falling, and Bob Tallman said I was wild and crazy, so he nicknamed me the Wild Child. But since then, I mean, it's kind of evolved, because I'm not going to reach down and set a barrel up on her. I'll probably fall off. So anyway, but it kind of all goes together. You know, I'm very aggressive, so it fits my riding style. I have a blue hat, I have a pink hat, I have a purple hat, I have, you know, I really don't care if you think I look good. I'm flashy, you know, blingy.
It's just your personality, and you know, you can see on the lime green. You can always spot you out of a crowd, so I don't have to worry about it. But I think it's kind of cool, because I like doing stuff like that as well.
It is. And so, you know, I mean, it just kind of goes with the whole thing. We've always laughed, because calling me the Wild Child probably in my real life is as far from anything you would say.
You're not really wild.
I'm not really wild. I've had people actually ask me that. Well, I mean, why did you get that name? But
well, we had to clarify it, because I had to ask it. So
everything is from the rodeo arena only.
Yes.
But
yeah, because that year that you set that barrel up, I mean, basically that you reached down and it was falling and you set it up. You won that go, didn't you?
I did.
Yes,
I did.
I remember.
I actually set several barrels up and won the goes, and I was actually criticized quite a bit for that, but
whatever it takes to win.
Well,
And what
most
gets me
people
is
have
you
not-
always get excited after your run, because I do that too. I
Yes.
get to screaming and yelling,
yeah.
yeah, I like that. And people always like, you know, some of them say, well, she just being cocky and that. But, you know, as much time as we spend with these horses in the hot and the cold and the sweating and the freezing your butt off, when a horse makes a run like that, you want to get excited. I'm all about
do.
that.
My mom told me a long time ago that if you don't get nervous anymore before you go in there and butterflies in your tummy, that you shouldn't do this anymore. And it's the same thing as getting excited and finding joy and pleasure in your horse performing well and you pulling it together and making a big win is, you know, if you're not passionate about this, this is probably not the game for you.
Yeah, because it's an up and down battle.
It is, it is. I've always said that rodeo in particular, but barrel racing, training for 30 horses for sure, is a roller coaster ride. The highs are really high, the lows are really low, and there's not much in between, and it's probably going to take your stomach away.
Oh, every time.
Okay, as you approach the barrel, where you should get ready and your horse ready for the turn is about 1 full horse length away. This can be changed depending on how big your horse is. A lot of people say, well, my horse is smaller, naturally strides shorter, takes them less time to get ready. So every horse is different. This horse is pretty big, she's pretty long, and 1 horse width away will do it every time. Right here is where you should sit down and prepare yourself for the turn. Not only yourself, but your horse. Yes, I am very aggressive, but if you watch the videos of me, I'm aggressive from point A to point B. I'm aggressive 1 stride away from the turn until 1 stride before the turn. Right here, I'm not aggressive. I sit down, I put my feet in front of me, and I get my horse ready for the turn, and I get myself ready for the turn. Right here is where your horse has to slow down to be able to turn the barrel tight. Has to. Every horse in the world has to set. When your horse sets, what I do is I slide my hand about 6 inches down the rein and I turn my thumb up to God. When you do this, do you see what happens to my horse? She just, this is 1 finger. I'm not pulling hard. I'm not asking her to do anything, but I got a response instantly. It's the same thing that you're going to do when you go to the barrel. What you're doing is you're asking your horse to slow down and to initiate body position around the barrel. Body position around the barrel with your horse is what makes a tight, fast turn. So what you're going to pay attention to is that your horse's head, number 1, comes into the barrel. We're going to arc our horse's body. I call it the power C, around the barrel in an arc or a U. So their head comes in, the shoulder is up, the ribs are in, that makes the back side of the C, their butt is in, and it makes the other half of the C. You have to have their butt in and their head turned in for them to be able to wrap around the barrel.
So show us again, just walk around the barrels a couple times.
Yes.
Show us going in motion.
Slide, lift your thumb to God, and go to the horn.
And you're not asking her to move out. You're just asking her to give you her hand.
That's also something, most people, the first thing they say to me when I go over this at the clinics is, if I ask my horse to turn 1 stride way back here where you're telling me, he's going to hit it every time.
Yeah.
That's not true. That is because most people think that they should check their horses.
Right.
I'm not a checker. I don't do that. I train natural right into my horses. Just from the start, I'll trot up to the barrel. And I do everything exactly like I want them to do it when I go fast. How I train right in my horses is I go, whoa. You see, I'm not pulling at all. I said, whoa. I put my feet in front of me, and I sat down, and she slowed down. I didn't slam her in the ground. I didn't stop her hard. I didn't even ask her to stop. I just let her trickle down and slow down. That's what you want. You do not want to run the pattern, your horse to slam in the ground and slow down and trot around the barrel.
That's all for today, folks.
Join us next month for a brand new show.
the sunset.
All right, let's do it.